Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we get serious. We are going to be building the best deck in Lorcana right now, according to my opinion, which I think is Amber Steel Songs. It was the king of the meta, or trending to become the king of the meta game with the first chapter, and it's gotten a lot of good upgrades with Rise of the Floodborn, in particular one deadly combo. But before we get to that one, let's start with the basics of the deck list. We want to be playing some of the most powerful songs in the game with 3 copies of Whole New World and 3 copies of Grab Your Sword. Because we're getting some nice upgrades, we can actually go with 3 copies of each, which helps us have a more reliable deck. Because they're high costed uninkable, we don't want too many of those, but we do want to play them because they are that powerful. And having the rest of the lineup that is just as good allows us to play 3 copies of the powerful cards, have them have a huge impact, and still maintain a very strong deck. Okay, so next question is, how are we going to sing this? Well, we're going to sing it the usual way, by shifting into big characters or using Ariel Spectacular Singer. In terms of strong characters, we still have Tinkerbell, still an amazing 6-drop, still does ping, still does combat, just everything that we like. There's the new Cinderella Stoutheart, one of the strongest character that's been released, a 5/5 resist 2, and whenever you play a song, she can challenge ready characters. It's an underrated yet quite powerful ability, quest for 3, she's just solid, and in the songs deck, you can trigger the Singing Sword passive fairly easily. And having a 5/5 resist 2 that can challenge ready characters is amazingly powerful. So we're going to be playing 4 copies of Cinderella. Another card that is quite impactful is the Queen Commanding Presence. She's not an auto-include in this list, but I do really like her. In particular, when you have the Commanding Presence on the battlefield, you can completely switch over combat mat. You can have one of your small fry little character take down one of the opponent's biggest character and not even take damage because of the +4/-4 ability. We also have another very powerful heavy drop with Stitch Rockstar, which allows us to keep on drawing cards as we go wide on the board. So now we have 4 very powerful top end characters, and they all have shifting targets. In particular, we have access to Stitch New Dog, which can shift into the Big Stitch. We have access to the Queen, Regal Monarch, which can shift into the Big Queen. We have Cinderella, Ballroom Sensation, which can shift into the Big Cinderella. We also have access to a 2-drop Cinderella. Alphabetical order, there she is. That can also shift into the Big Cinderella. And on 3, we have access to Tinkerbell. But we're just going to be playing 2 copies of that Tinkerbell. There she is. And having these shifting targets into the big characters is really to support the big payoffs. So you'd say, well, we've just added a bunch of weak cards to our deck that was otherwise looking very beefy with only strong cards. Okay, but look at it this way. We have a bunch of 1-drops and 2-drops, which feeds Stitch Rockstar, allows it to draw a bunch of cards. Cinderella has Singer 3, which is a very strong ability on the 1-drop. She's arguably the strongest 1-drop in the game now. Her competition is really Lilo and 1-drop Maleficent, but it's for different purposes. We also have access to Cinderella, which allows us to draw a card, discard a card, which is useful when you get stuck with a pair of Whole New Worlds or a pair of Grab Your Sword. So there are Cinderella and Cinderella are nice utility characters. The other ones are 1-drops that feed into Stitch Rockstar pretty well, so even on their own, they're actually fairly decent. And Tinkerbell's kind of in the middle, so we're only playing 2 copies of her. So now we look to continue the list. Well, we've overlooked the extremely powerful Ariel, Spectacular Singer, which is critical to casting these big songs earlier than we should, and also picking up extra cards quite often actually with her ability. Same with Rapunzel, gifted with healing. Extremely powerful card, no reason not to play her. And now we look back at our list and we realize we're a little light on songs. We're only playing 6 songs so far. And Rise of Floodborn has brought us this gem of a song. Let the Storm Rage On. Deal 2 damage to chosen character and draw a card. This is a fire to cannon that replaces itself. And it's a 3-drop spell, which means that our 1-drop Cinderella can sing it. And that makes it one of the most threatening early game combos. Even on the draw, opponent goes 1 drop, you go Cinderella, and suddenly they have to fear that their 1-drop is going to get pinged by Let the Storm Rage On for free, or if they haven't put anything on turn 1, and then they're playing something with 2 willpower on turn 2, you can just ping it and draw a card. So you win +1 in the exchange, which is very, very good. Even in the mid game, a lot of our characters can sing Let the Storm Rage On, making it a powerful card. Also, remember that we've thinned down Whole New Worlds and Grab Your Sword. In particular, it's to make space for that uninkable 3-drop. And now we still need a bit more songs. And in the tree slot, we have access to Strength from a Raging Fire. It's one of the weaker songs, but again, Cinderella can sing it as a 1-drop. A lot of our cards can sing it. We are going wide with Stitch with all these 1-drops, so it's a spell that makes sense, and it's inkable. So we'll be playing it in 2 copies. It's not as impactful as Let the Storm Rage On, but it's inkable, and it's hittable with Ariel's ability. And another song that I really like, which can be considered a flex spot, is Painting the Roses Red, which I consider an upgrade to the song that we used to play, Be Our Guest. I choose not to play any copies of Be Our Guest, and instead play a pair of Painting the Roses Red, which basically cycles itself into another card and gives 2 characters of your choice -1 combat power, allowing you to kind of shift combats in your favor. And if it doesn't work out, well, it's inkable. It's just a very nice, versatile option. And with that, we need 4 more cards. So we're going to continue with our flex slots. And the next one... before I forget, we are playing a lot of 1-drops and a lot of heavy drops. So we're going to be playing some Lanterns. Again, Lantern is a card that has a high impact when you get it early. And if you get it in the mid to late game or in multiples, it starts to feel bad. Especially multiple Lanterns kind of can get your hand stuck. We do have the 2-drop Cinderella to cycle it. But because the deck list is so good in general, we can afford to play only 2 copies of Lantern. So we will rarely hit it in duplicates. Especially with the mulligans, the partial mulligans that we can do. And the Lantern helps us accelerate into just playing these 5, 6, 7 drops naturally. And to wrap up the list, we have one of my flex spots by excellence, Benja, Guardian of the Dragon Gem. Solid stats, blows up an item when you play it. Opponent doesn't play any item, it's the perfect inkable 3-drop. I just love this card. And that completes the deck building part of this video, which brings us to trying out this deck in action with some games. Here we go. Tinkerbell, Queen, Let the Storm Rage On, Ariel, Tinkerbell, Stitch, Stitch. Keep a Queen. We'll keep Ariel and Let the Storm Rage On. Yeah, that seems alright. Find Cinderella, Grab Your Sword, Tinkerbell. Second copy of Let the Storm Rage On. Not ideal. The opponent resolves a Shield of Virtue. So it's a control-styled opponent. Start by inking our Big Stitch, and dropping Little Queen. A 2/2 that threatens to shift into the Queen, controller of combat. Teeth and Ambition goes to the ink. And the Queen of Hearts comes in. Alright, we'll take the opportunity. I think we unfortunately have to ink our Cinderella to play the smaller version. Finding a Rapunzel. And we'll discard. I don't feel like Grab Your Sword is that great in this matchup. They won't leave my opponent the opportunity of shifting a Queen of Hearts. Let's keep the Queen as a threat. Maybe the opponent is going to put us on a big Queen in hand. And we might be able to force them to make some bad decisions. After all, our game plan is simple. Let the storm rage on, taking out the Queen of Hearts. I ideally want to sing it though. Though I'm itching for a bit more inkables. We need Pooh. Okay, so it's a Ruby Sapphire deck. Good old Ruby Popsicle, I've been told of. Let's see what the deck can do against the best deck in the metagame. Teeth and Ambition. See, I don't think that that's worth it. So the opponent could have just challenged with the Queen. No, they couldn't challenge. They couldn't challenge because we were unexerted. But that's really a 2-for-1 and the opponent just gained 1 lore. It's really not that great for my opponent. Anchor, duplicate Ariel, plain Ariel. And we find Painting the Roses Red. It's a fine pickup. I'm probably going to use it as ink, to be honest. But 1 more ink is still desirable. There you are, Painting the Roses Red. Just reducing the power of up to 2 characters and drawing a card. It's almost free. And it's singable. I like it. It's another hit for Ariel. Feels similar to Be Our Guest, maybe a bit better with the different board positions that we get. There he is. Flaversham. So Flaversham is a bit of a problem. Here I need to ink something. Well, first things first. We're going to be playing at least one of Let the Storm Rage On. Ariel will sing and Flaversham will be on the receiving end of the spell. I don't really want the opponent to sag that Shield of Virtue off of Flaversham. That thing has 6 toughness? That's a lot. So we won't be able to take it out with these. Alright. Let's move to plan B. What is plan B? Just resolve a Rapunzel. That's a feel bad move. Alright, well, Cinderella goes to the ink pile. I'll hard cast a Rapunzel. Let's quest with Cinderella. Because we can. Of course, it's the Maui turn, so Maui might be doing some owie here. Teeth and Ambition goes to the ink. And maybe I should highlight Flaversham. Opponent picks back up the Popsicle. And he has the ink to play it. That's a lot of cards. A lot of cards. So Flaversham, whenever he enters the battlefield or quests, you can sacrifice one of your items to draw 2 cards. And Popsicle is already free. Heat and Ambition will take out our Cinderella. 2 damage goes on Popsicle Seller. Mr. Nick Wilde. But because the opponent sang that song, that means that Flaversham didn't sag the Popsicle? Alright. Now we're at the odd spot. Oh, we need to take out that Flaversham. So Ariel's going to go and tackle it. And we're going to be letting the Storm Rage on. Probably singing with Rapunzel. So let's start with the one that gives us some card draw. In case something like this happens, and we draw a second copy of Let the Storm Rages On, in which case we're going to be singing it with Ariel. Flaversham, really, in the eye of the storm, 3 Let the Storm Rage On. Oh, and we find a 5-drop. Sequencing, very important. Of course, I do forget. But this time, it's going to pay off, as I get to resolve a queen. You have to be careful. I think our opponent's deck is playing Be Prepared. I have to keep that in mind. Queen of Hearts to the ink. Lady Tremaine. Force us to sacrifice our Ariel, which is unfortunate. Another very good card. Lady Tremaine. Imperious Queen 3/4 just forces us to sack a character. Alright, found a Cinderella. So we're gonna ink Painting the Roses red. Definitely want to quest with Rapunzel. Opponent has 2 cards. So what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is Flaversham, Be Prepared. In which case our opponent, I want to force the opponent to play Be Prepared next turn. Opponent doesn't have a good trade for the queen. So I'm going to quest. I'm going to resolve Tinkerbell. Doesn't matter. Yeah, go Tinkerbell. And if the opponent does go with that plan and casts to Be Prepared, then we have a Stitch with some cheap cards to keep our engine rolling, draw some cards, draw into a whole new world. If the opponent doesn't, then, well, I have a Tinkerbell. And we've gained a bit of extra lore. Another Lady Tremaine. She is tremendously annoying. Yeah. Another Shield of Virtue to the ink. Now the opponent has 1 card in hand. Find another Tinkerbell. Alright, well, let's take out Nick with a Tinkerbell. Because why not? And we can just quest. Lady Tremaine is no longer a threat, and we're still having with our Stitch Cinderella backup plan. As long as the opponent doesn't have 2 more Lady Tremaines. Ooh. Scar hurts. 6/5 rush. And he gets to ready. And he gets to eat a popsicle. So he's ready to go again. Tremaine quests. Alright, we find a queen. Alright, well, let's deploy our assets. Ink the Cinderella. and go for Stitch Queen. And yes, we will exert our Queen. Do I want to take out Tremaine? I think so. Let's take out Lady Tremaine. And pay back Scar a little bit. Pass the turn back. I'm hoping our opponent doesn't be prepared. But if they do, well, we're going to resolve a whole new world and play a 2 or 3 drop. I have the Fates. Now that's just weird. I understand the rest of the deck list, but the Eye of the Fates puzzles me. Alright, well. Let's just quest, I guess. Let's cycle this. Don't really want to damage a character to draw a card. So keep Let the Storm Rages on. Let the Storm Rage on. Hades. Alright, so we're going to get some ink off of that. Find a Grab Your Swords, not what I was looking for. But we can always just ping the Hades, draw a card. Cinderella's nice. Oh. Quest with the Queen. Hard cast, Grab Your Swords, I guess. It's not the best. Maybe there's an argument that I should have played a whole new world last turn. But now at this board, I get to trade with Hades. Queen for Hades. Seems good. I'll resolve a Cinderella and a Stitch. Stitch is just to protect us against other Tremaines. Because there's 2 Tremaines that Tremaine in our opponent's deck. Or up to 2. We don't really know. Flaversham. Drawing some cards off of that Shield of Virtue, which really wasn't doing anything. So we're threatening very close to lethal here. Maui to ink. Ooh, that's a very nice pickup. Benja. Blow up that Eye of the Fates, please. That's why I like it as a flex spot. I'll quest with the other 2. Still holding that whole new world. I don't really see a reason to play it just yet. Maleficent Dragon. Apparently dragons beat knights. But Flaversham can't deal with a Stitch, and Benja's gonna seal the deal. Flaversham's weakness: can't deal with small Stitches, as Benja quests for victory, and Amber Steel Songs takes the win against Ruby Sapphire Popsicles. Let's see what we get here. Lantern, Benja, Cinderella, Tinkerbell, Whole New World, Let the Storm Rage On, and a small Cinderella. Not the best hand. We're going second. I think we mulligan the songs. Keep the Cinderellas, the Lantern, and Benja. Alright. And we find Cinderella led the Storm Rage on. That completely changes what we were going to play. Alright, well, easy ink Cinderella. That's what I was going to ink anyways, so that I can play Cinderella. The Ballroom Sensation. Capable of singing 3 drops songs just off the bat. The most powerful one being Let the Storm Rage On. Just 2 damage to something and drawing a card. Come on, opponent. Drop something with 2 toughness. Ooh, an Alice. I wonderland what our opponent is playing. Opponent is playing Annoy, which is perfect for us to sing. And take out Annoy for free. As we find a small Stitch, which is a prime target for the ink pool, which allows us to play a Lantern. See, we're on the draw here, and we've gained so much tempo off of playing Cinderella, and the Lantern puts us now ahead on ink. One of the strongest opening lines you can have with this deck. Opponent plays their own copy of Lantern, followed by Noi. Well, thankfully, we have just the answer for that with our Benja. Now we're on 4. Don't think we want the small Cinderella anymore, so we're going to ink her again. Activate Lantern, play Benja, destroy your ink. Goodbye, opposing side Lantern. Benja is just so strong. He's a common, could have printed the same card as a super rare. No one would have complained. Legendary? Well, maybe you replace Benja by a more known Disney character. Same stats, same ability. Still pretty good. All that to say, rarity just doesn't make the card. Which brings us to our opponent playing a Who's It Collector. Now. We can reach 5 ink. Let's ink our queen. With the Lantern, that allows us to shift Cinderella. Shifting from the ball to the big bad armor. And now we can paint the roses red. Singing with Benja, removing 1 combat power from both of our opponent's character, drawing a card. But more importantly, Cinderella's ability triggers and allows us to challenge ready characters. We challenge the Who's It Collector. Bam! Out. We don't even take a point of damage because we gave her -1 combat power and we have resist 2. We've had to exert Benja in the process, but small price to pay. When games go well, games go well. World's Greatest Criminal? That is a good answer to Cinderella. A very good answer to that. We find Ariel Singer. Fortunately, the small Cinderella is going to have to go home because the ball is over. Probably just resolve our biggest threat here, right? I shouldn't think too much about it. So Tinkerbell will go and ping Noi a little bit. Who's Its Collector number 2 comes in. Well, we're going to have to Ariel. And we whiff. Alright. Don't really want to ink Rapunzel to play Rapunzel, so I'm just going to go to Questing Town and pass the turn back. Our board is very intimidating now. Opponent lets it go. The opponent's Ariel can take out Benja. We find painting the roses red, which is very timely here. We can hard cast it, reduce the combat power of both our opponent's characters, draw Queen, which is meaningless, but that allows us to challenge with Ariel and live, so we can Rapunzel, fully heal her, and draw 2 cards. I really like painting the roses red. It's an almost free card and has a lot of nice utilities. Ooh, Queen. Alright, alright. Well, the Queen can turn bad combats into pretty good ones for our opponent. So you just drop our hand on the battlefield and continue questing. Or you just really dump our full hand on the battlefield and pass a turn. Let's go with that. The good old drop my hand and do nothing turn. Slightly telegraphing that whole new world. Ooh, Alice. Cool and powerful card. Well, now we find a Cinderella. Alright, well, we're gonna have to play our Stout Heart. It's too good a card to keep in our hand or to send away to a whole new world. Especially since when singing a whole new world, we'll be able to challenge, well, whatever we want. Thanks to her passive ability. You have to be careful about the growing girl, but the opponent's still at 0 lore. So as long as we maintain good control over the board and prevent any weird board wiping. But the opponent is on Sapphire Amber, so there's no mass removal in that deck. As long as we maintain the board presence, we will be in a very hard to beat situation. This player is Cinderella, declining her ability. Sing a whole new world, thanks to Ariel, Singer 5. Ooh, Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell's pretty nice. So Tinkerbell, take out Noi, ping the Queen, and we have plenty of singers available. Rapunzel, no. Tinkerbell, you can sing, right? Let the Storm Rage On, take out the Queen. Strength for Raging Fire will get sang by Rapunzel, and our Cinderella can take out whatever's left of our opponent's battlefield. And we still have some characters left to quest. Yes, I am playing with my food at this point. Our opponent realizes that and decides to forfeit the game. And that's how it's done. The power of Amber Steel songs. Let's see the deck in action. Have a Stitch, Strength of Raging Fire, Queen, grab your sword, Stitch, another Queen, and another Stitch. So you don't need that many stitches. We'll keep one small stitch. And the rest seems okay. Maybe we send the Queen back? Seems alright. And we find another Queen. Definitely too many 1-drops with this hand. That's okay. They're inkable. It's one of their purpose to hear. Also picked up a Cinderella off of the mulligan, giving us the option to discard some of those. We'll ink a Queen. Play a little Stitch here. Hopefully your opponent doesn't have Let the Storm Rage On. That's the hope. Because if they do, well, it's goodbye Stitch. And free card for our opponent. Opponent does have Let the Storm Rage on, which puts us in a tight spot. Opponent resolves a queen. If another Let the Storm rages on. Quite a lot of copies. Let's go Cinderella. Cinderella finds Ariel. I think we discard one of the copies of Let the Storm Rage on. They are non-inkable and we already have two of those. So we want to be careful here. Yes, there are some prime targets for it, but there are also prime targets for Grab Your Sword. So I'll keep variety for this time. Let the Storm Rage on. That's an Elsa spell. They had to make it good. Opponent inks a World's Greatest Criminal. And a Benja comes in. Love Benja. This is apparently a mirror match. We find a Cinderella. Cinderella's nice, but it's a little too late. As Ariel is just the better singer here. Don't find anything. It's unfortunate. We have the option of trading with the Queen, which is tempting. And we don't have a Stout Heart. If the opponent shifted the big queen here. Yeah, I don't like the opponent shifting a big queen and then playing a whole new world. I feel like that would be bad for us. So we'll go and trade with the queen. Tinkerbell to the ink. And we do have our Spectacular Singer. Oh, opponent doesn't have anything on 4. Now that hurts. Hurts quite a bit. Ink a Stitch. And let's sing Let the Storm Rage on. Draw cards, see what we find. I think we sing it. Take out Cinderella. And find a queen. Do I even want to play the queen, or do I want to keep her? I think I want to keep her as ink for next turn. So I'll pass the turn back. 4 to 4 cards in hand. We're both sitting with a 2-3 facing each other. Opponent lets the Storm Rage on their side of the battlefield, targeting our Ariel. Ooh, and hard cast to Grab Your Sword. I disagree with that play there. Feels a little too card aggressive. Grab Your Sword to take down a 1 health Ariel seems a little over the top. Alright, we'll send... I think I want to ink the queen, but first let's play Ariel. See what we hit. We find a whole new world. So I think we want to ink Strength of a Raging Fire and resolve a queen. Let's just aim at emptying our hand. The more stuff we haven't played, the more stuff we can do in terms of combat. And the opponent knows about a whole new world. So the opponent's also going to be aiming to dump their hand on the battlefield. Hard-casted queen comes in. Inks the World's Greatest Criminal. But the cool part about our opponent knowing that we have a whole new world is that we don't have to play it. Ariel swinging into Benja and dropping a Rapunzel to heal her seems very appealing right now. The other option is to ink Rapunzel, drop a Stitch, which might be better. I think I'm going to go with that option. As much as I hate inking a Rapunzel, having a Stitch Rockstar on the battlefield helps our chances quite a bit. You can sing and grab your sword, but let's pass for now. I think I might have timed out there. Good old Rockstar. Trying cards for days as long as we have 1/1s and 1-drops and 2-drops. Opponent finds their own copy of the Spectacular Singer, but doesn't find anything off of her triggered ability. Is your last card a whole new world as well? Yes, it is. Okay. So he held back for nothing. Mostly nothing. Find a flurry of spells. Tinkerbell seems particularly appealing, considering our opponent's board state. Ooh, Chief Bogo. That's a spicy one. Spicy one I don't want to have my opponent keep on the battlefield. I really like Bogo. I'm just not sure if how many Floodborn characters our opponent is playing. Because for every Floodborn, it's going to ping our team for 1. At least I can sing the Strength from Raging Fire to take it out. I can also sing Let the Storm Rage On. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the Tinkerbell. Boom, ping everything. Then I want to sing with the Strength from Raging Fire to make sure I take out that Chief Bogo. Ariel will sing and swing. And then all my characters, including Stitch, just go karate jumping pose. And we're all inked out. Well, Queen's going to trade with herself. The bigger version. Seems like a very good trade. And I think I want to take the Singer to make sure that the opponent doesn't do shenanigans. So Rockstar is going to sing to take out the Spectacular Singer. Let the Storm Rage On. Find a Benja. Gonna ink a Cinderella here. And we'll pass the turn. If I had planned out my turn beforehand, I should have inked that card and I could have landed a Lantern as an extra play. Slight misstep here. Opponent with 5 cards in hand. We do have the stronger board, and the board that's fairly resilient to grab your sword. With Bogo out of the picture, with the opponent not having a good Singer on the battlefield, I like our odds here. Tinkerbell comes in. The Giant Pinger. And Benja will trade with Ariel to make sure our Tinkerbell doesn't have any prime target. Alright, well, let's take the opportunity to resolve our Lantern. Can ink the small Cinderella. And with 6, actually 7, we can resolve Ariel as well as Rapunzel. So let's go ahead and heal Stitch. Let's heal Stitch. Draw a card. And with the lantern, let's see if we can find another good song with Ariel. Find a whole new world? Actually, I don't want a whole new world, because I'm already holding on to one. I could use a draw discard ability, but I think I prefer having it in my deck. So let's play it like we whiffed. Then we'll just pass a turn. Playing passively. It's that Tinkerbell attack and ping I'm a little afraid of. Do have to be careful, our opponent's at 7 ink. 7 lore. And after all, lore is what allows you to win the game. Queen comes in. Shifted. Interesting. Yeah, that would have turned into some pretty bad combats if I had quested. Queen of Combat. Give one of your character +4 and one of your opponent's character -4. Actually, give an opposing character -4 and any character +4. So you can still pump one of your opposing characters if you do wish to. The Chief Bogo comes in. Ooh, Queen goes to Quest. So does Tinkerbell. I should have picked up the whole new world as we pick up a Cinderella, which would allow us to discard it and draw a new card. Now we have access to some pretty good combat. Let's play the Cinderella and discard. Alright, we'll discard a Benja. No point in having two. Yeah, we'll exert Cinderella to draw a card. Ooh, Tinkerbell. That is a very nice pickup. We will play the Tinkerbell. Pinging everything. Now we can have Tinkerbell trade with Tinkerbell and the Queen. Seems like a good trade. Alright. Combat 2 for 1. Yeah, I could have kept her alive and pinged Bogo. It's also another interesting line. But for now, this allows us to relatively safely quest with the rest of our squad, bringing the score closer 11-6. As it's now time to close out the game and remove any hope our opponent has of coming back. Grab your sword. That hurts. I don't think there's a 3-drop Floodborn. Jafar Dreadnought's probably the cheapest Floodborn character. Let the Storm Rage on. That's okay. Keep spending your ink, opponent. Bogo quests. Ooh, and we find another Tinkerbell. Alright. Well, Bogo's 2-4. I do think I want to take it out, because I don't want Tinkerbell to decimate my board. So Tinkerbell will take out Bogo. Nothing to ping. Gonna go Queen Benja with no target. And just quest with what we have. And we have a lot of characters with 3 hit points remaining. So Stitch, Rapunzel, as well as the Queen and Benja. So they almost all have 3. So opponent needs more than just to grab your sword to take us out. And we can quest for 11 next turn, so we're threatening very lethal. A big beast comes in. It's a nice card. But it's too little too late, as we simply quest to victory. And take the win. And that's how you win the mirror match. Patience and capitalizing on bad questing. I hope that you've enjoyed this video featuring Amber Steel's songs, one of the, if not the strongest deck in the metagame, and the Pixelborn gameplay shows you just how powerful the deck is. From extremely powerful lines of Cinderella into a Let the Storm Rage On plus Lantern on turn 2, to simply just shifting a big character, Tinkerbell, Cinderella, and taking over the game with the raw power of these endgame threats, having a Stitch draw you card for days. When you're considering cutting Rapunzel because sometimes she can't heal, you know that your deck list is very, very strong. And we've seen that deck show up in tournament with the first chapter and with the early deck lists of Rise of the Floodborn. The deck is strong. There's some place for trying out new things and personal touches with some of the flex slots. And overall, it's all about playing these big songs and having access to these very powerful late game threats while having early game pressure, mass removal, card advantage. The deck kind of does it all. And that versatility, flexibility, and consistency is what makes the deck so powerful. Again, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you want more meta lists on the channel, or should I just continue going with sometimes meta lists, sometimes just lists for fun, and a mix of everything. I hope that you've had a great time. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out, and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.